All right, y'all. We're back for another live. This is Make Money Monday. And I'm going to show you guys the five investments that if you're an entrepreneur, you absolutely should have. You should be making, you should be preparing for, you should be dreaming about, you should be thinking about, you should be salivating over, you should be building these portfolios because there's a couple principles when it comes to money. And you guys, this is coming from, if you guys are on this channel, then you've probably have followed me for a long time, or maybe you're just getting introduced to me today. So let me go on and just introduce myself. If you haven't consumed any of our content yet, if you haven't read any of my books, if you haven't heard me from stages, if you haven't joined any of my coaching programs, my name is Jamil Frazier. I'm the founder of Think Life is Different, and I can go in a little bit about why the company is called that. But I'm excited to be here with you today. Listen, I have mentored, I have coached, I have developed, I have helped thousands of entrepreneurs scale their businesses over a decade of me working with people that are probably just like you, right? Like they've made a decision that they want to start a business. Maybe you haven't started a business yet. Most of you guys that are with us are business owners. And I have been in the trenches with these guys, man. I've been up late with these guys. I have, traveled across the continent for these guys to help them scale their businesses. And we've done it at a really high level. Here's a couple problems. A couple problems is there's four parts of money, and I can almost guarantee right now you're only focused on one, and that is building your business revenue, and then it's building your own personal income. And I got to tell you, if that's your focus, then that revenue could have the potential of shrinking. It could have the potential of completely being obliterated by a market shift. It could have the potential to continue to thrive, right? It could have the potential to go higher than you've ever even imagined, which is, I could say from personal experience, has happened in my case. But let me also tell you this. If the only thing that you got going for you right now is the income that comes from your business revenue, then you are not just failing to prepare, but you are preparing to fail. I have, as I've said, I've just been in this game, in this industry with so many people. I mean, from lay individuals that have, been construction workers that wanted to build a huge construction company to stay-at-home mamas that got an idea all of a sudden and they wanted to create a mega company in the world of online education. I have been with attorneys that all of a sudden that no longer wanted to be attorneys and they wanted to, run online coaching businesses. I've been in the gamut. And what I can tell you is if we are just focused on business revenue, then we're focused on the wrong thing. Here's an easier thing. I was just talking to some people today, and let me see here. Why is this thing not going? Let me work on this over here. I guess that's good. So I was talking to someone today, and just come on in one thing I love about Money Mondays as well is we got the chat that's going on right now as well. So if you got questions or you just want to shout your boy out, but utilize the chat to ask any questions you have today. Listen, I'm going to tell you about the five investments that you should have, and then I'm going to show you what they look like and why you should have it. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to give you a bonus investment, something that I do. I just talked about it on my Instagram today, but it's something that I do. It's something that I've been investing in that I'm up over 30% in and has made me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here's one of the principles is lazy money is terrible money. Okay. Is lazy money is terrible money. The other principle is all you're doing is just working and working and working for cash, then you are doing it wrong. What we want to be doing is working so that we can generate the cash, so that we can take that cash and go put it somewhere where that cash can actually make us money. Let me show you something that I actually put on my Facebook a little bit earlier. And basically, I asked my Facebook audience, um, I said, If you could invest, let me see if I can get to it actually. Because I want you to think about this, okay? I want you to think about it, whether you're watching me live right now or you stumbled upon this video at a later date. I want you to think about this. Just answer me. In fact, if you're watching this live, I want you to answer me in the comments. Here's what I said. If you can invest $500 to make $150, would you? If you can invest $5,000 to make $1,500, would you? If you could invest $50,000 to make $15,000 for doing nothing at all, would you? And here's the deal. If you can invest $110,000 to make over $30,000, would you? And I specifically chose the 110,000 because that's the bonus investment I'm going to show you at the end as you stick all the way to the end. I'm invested in a vehicle that you probably have never heard of before, and I want to show you why and why it's so dope, why so many people don't know about it, why I'm making over 30% on my money. Okay. But here's the question. Just go back to the first 500 or the first 5,000. If you could invest $500 to get back 150 for doing nothing, my question to you is, would you? And by the way, what if you didn't have 500? But I told you you were gonna get back 150 for doing nothing. How stinking fast would you go find $500? You'd probably be asking your sister, your brother-in-law, you'd be texting mama, you go to the neighbor's house, you borrow salt and pepper from them, you probably just be like, "Hey, let me hold 500 because I'm about to flip this and I'm gonna give you your 500 back and I'm gonna keep the 150," right? Or even if it's $5,000, if I told you that you could invest 5,000 and then make $1,500, the question is, would you? And you're smart, just like I am. I don't know if I'm that smart, but like you're wise enough to say, hell yeah, I would invest that. And I go find the money if I don't. Why? Because you inherently know that the worst type of money to make is money that you're just slaving for. Now, that's not to say that I'm against us using our talents and our God gifts ability to go sow back into our communities and to have purpose. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is the best type of money to make is the money you don't have to do anything for. So here's the 5 investments you specifically as an entrepreneur, but I'm just going to be honest with you. Just as a human being, you want to invest in these 5 categories. Number one, you want to invest in your own business. Number two, you want to invest in real estate. Number three, you want to invest in the stock market. Number four, you want to invest in your network. And number five, you want to invest in you. Let's talk about number one really fast. This is where you're going to by far get the biggest return on your investment. I remember I was talking to a buddy of mine years ago. This was before I really started any companies, any businesses. And I remember I was asking him about, investments. I've always been super curious and interested, like, how do people build wealth? If you know a little bit of my story, then you know that basically I grew up on welfare. I grew up to a single mama. We were on welfare from the time I was basically born to the time I graduated college. That is 2 decades. I just remember it so intimately, and it probably wouldn't have been a big deal had my mom not moved me to a city when I was basically about the 4th grade. I got moved to a new city where people held more wealth, and it was so apparent. It was so apparent in the way that they ate. It was apparent in their culture. It was apparent in the way they spoke. It was apparent in their opportunities. It was apparent in their Christmas presents. It was apparent in their questions. And for the very first time, I realized that like I was an other. Like this isn't necessarily everybody's experience with life. And this isn't necessarily normal, air quotes, right? And it was the first time I saw that, wait a minute, like people aren't doing what we're doing. Like people aren't struggling the way that we're struggling. People have extra homes. They ask me in the summer, am I going to my summer home? I'm like, we don't even own our home. What are you talking about summer homes? But it was those types of questions, or it'd be like, where are you guys going to eat out to celebrate? And I was like, go eat out to celebrate. Just simple questions like that. But really, it started me on this path of wanting to figure out how you build wealth. And so fast forward into my early 30s, I'm not destitute. I'm not broke. I am paycheck to paycheck. I'm making six figures, but I have nothing to show for it. I don't own any property. I don't have any stock portfolios. I don't have any retirement. I barely have a little savings account, and that gets depleted every single year. So basically, it just felt like I was walking up quicksands, right? I take two steps forward and I take three steps back, like that Paula Abdul video, right? And that's just kind of how it was. And then, I remember talking to a buddy of mine, his name is Josh, and I was asking him like, "Hey, I got $1,000. What's the best investment that I can make with this?" And he didn't tell me like, you know, put it into insurance like a lot of people would say. He didn't say like put it into a high yield savings. He didn't say put it into a Roth IRA. He didn't say put it into a 401k. He didn't say, try to get into a real estate syndication. He said start a business. And he said, starting a business is by far, gives you by far the largest opportunity that you can ever have with making a substantial return on your money. Think about this. I invested $200 to start my coaching business. $200. Listen to me, $200. That's how much. And then maybe another, I forget what it was, but let's just say another $300 to get certified. Okay. And so let's just say I'm all in at 600 bucks. Within 1 year, that business was doing about $100,000 a month in revenue. Think about that. Where the heck? And it was putting about 15 to $18,000 a month into my pocket. Now think about that. I invested, let's just say $600. And 12 months later, I was making about $18,000 a month, and my business was doing 1.2 million in revenue. Think about that. Where could you take $600 and invest it into something that gives you that type of return that fast? Where? Even if it was $100,000 and I invested $100,000 and 12 months later, my business is doing 1.2, 1.3 million, and I'm making 17, $18,000 a month in income that I can take. So I invested 100,000. Within a year, I'm making what, 150 to $200,000 a year of income, and my business is doing 1.2, 1.3 million. You guys, if you want to see potentially the greatest return on your money, I am telling you, start a business. And so many of you guys that watch and listen to this podcast and you watch this channel and you're like been rocking with me for a minute, you probably already have a business and you know this to be true. So why is it that this potentially is like one of the biggest investments that you have? It's because you can do so many things to, write this down, calls force appreciation. And what you can do in your own business to call force appreciation is invest more back into the business. So every single time you make a dollar, you can invest part of that dollar back into the business to have that operation scale and grow. Whether it's investing back into the infrastructure, whether it's investing into more marketing, whether it's investing into building a sales team, whether it's investing into building automations, whether it's investing into building more of a operations team, whether it's investing, you can always improve a business by your investment back into that business. And because you can improve it, then you can scale it, especially as you start to build more and more systems. You just optimize those systems. And as you optimize those systems, and if you optimize the people, then the business grows. And here's the fascinating thing: the more those systems grow and the more the people are there and the more you optimize, the more you can actually scale revenue, and the less of you it is going to need if you build it properly. It's like one of the best things. So your business is one of the best investments that you can make. And if you don't have a business, then start thinking about how to have a business. One of the easiest ways to start a business right now is just utilize ChatGPT. I don't know how many of you guys actually utilize ChatGPT, but we're in 2025, you guys. And if you're not utilizing ChatGPT, then you absolutely want to be utilizing it. Here, I'll show. So my ChatGPT, her name's Tatiana. Let's have her talk to us about maybe 5 to 10 businesses that you can start right now in 2025. Tatiana, I am live on my YouTube channel. We got people that's in the waiting room. Can you say hi to them? Okay, so I'm doing basically the 5 investments every entrepreneur should make, and I'm starting out number 1 with their businesses. Can you give these folks ideas of maybe 5 businesses that they can start today and potentially scale into million-dollar businesses over the next 2 to 4 years? For each of those, how much capital do you think it would take to start up a company like that? I love that. Which would be the top 2 that would be the easiest to get involved with and the most lucrative? And how much money would be realistic to expect in maybe the next 3 years from building 1 or 2 of those businesses? I love that. Okay, if I wanted to eventually sell those businesses, would those be businesses that are easily sellable? Mhm. I love it. Okay, so number one that I'm telling them, Tatiana, is one of the most lucrative and profitable investments is to start their own businesses. Number two is real estate for sure. Maybe tell them a little bit about like why I think real estate is such a beautiful investment, and specifically even why we are investing internationally right now in places like Africa. So I recently just made an investment in Zanzibar. Maybe talk a little bit about that investment and why it makes sense for us and like what type of returns we're going to see. I love it. Thank you. So if you guys are not utilizing ChatGPT to help you really drive your businesses, then I'm going to say, like, I don't know what you are doing. So, we talked about number one, your business being one of the best investments that you have. And number two, real estate. Number three is the stock market. In fact, I wanted to show you guys like real life stuff. Let me see here if I'm able to actually share my screen. Okay, it looks like I am. Okay, so I think you guys can see this. So let's just look at a piece of real estate real fast. I just randomly like pulled this up. If you guys are on YouTube, go on and hop in, or if you guys are on Facebook, go hop over to my YouTube actually, because I'm sharing my screen over on YouTube and I have the chat up to where you can ask questions as well. I have the link right here in the comments. So if you click on that, it will actually take you to the live over on YouTube. I'm about to bring up just a piece of property so you guys can see like why it's one why real estate is one of the five really important investments to have in your portfolio, and I'm going to show you why. So I'm just pulling up a random property right now. This one is in Long Beach, California. It's on the market for 400 and basically $49,000. And I just want to make sure that I am still sharing the right. Let me go back here real fast and then make sure that I can share this right screen. Okay, so let's just take a look at this really fast. All right, so we're looking at this property. It looks like it's a condo. So why do we want real estate? Here's a law and a rule around real estate. Don't wait to buy real estate, buy real estate and wait. Let me just say this again. Don't wait to buy real estate and wait. So what we see is, what's up, David? What we see is, on average, if you buy real estate properly in a good location, then that piece of property more than likely is going to double in its value about every 10 years. Next, I'm going to tell you guys about the stock market. If you buy a reasonable stock, even if it's a low cost index fund, and you are buying that, I have a stock that we're going to analyze right here. It's just Microsoft. But even if you're getting 10% return, then that stock's value is going to double about every 7 years in the stock market. In a real estate game, it's about every 10 years. Okay. So let's just look at this really fast. I'm not even, for my students, we analyze this stuff all the time. But for you guys, I just want to show you why. So let's go look at the last time this thing was sold. And so if you guys are not over on YouTube, I encourage you to jump on over there. I have a link right here on my Facebook to where you can get over there. And let's see here. Okay, so this thing was basically last sold in 1999. Let's just say that was like 25 years ago for 129,000. Okay. So in 1999, this thing was sold for 129,000. They have it on a market today basically for 500,000. So in the last basically 25 years, this thing has appreciated about, what is that, 300, let's just call it 370,000. 370,000. So from basically, like, if you look at it, the 129, it doubled at least once, right? So 129, 130 double goes to 230. So that's one double. The rule of money is, how fast can I double my money? Okay. How fast can I flip this money? Is no different than, like, I grew up. Yeah, here's the deal. Like, I grew up, and I respected, like, I respect the hustle, but I grew up around a lot of drugs, right? And so you might have people that are flipping these rocks, that are flipping these drugs. It's like, how fast can I move this? It's the same thing with money. Nothing is worse than having lazy money. The goal of money is to see how fast can you double this dang money. If I got $20, the goal is, how fast can I turn this into 40? How fast can I turn that 40 into 80? How fast can I turn that 80 into 160? How fast can I turn that 160 into three, whatever that is, right? Like 320 or whatever. So here, as you can see on here, in 1999, this condo was one, let's just call it 130. So it doubled. So when it doubled, it went to 320, right? Now I want this thing to double again. I want this thing to go from 320 to basically 740. So I'm expecting, like I told you, every 10 years, I want to see this thing double, right? So from 1999 to 2010, I would like to see this thing double from 129, 130, basically to 260. And then from 2010 to 2020, I would like to see that 260 double, and that's going to be five something, right? So to be honest with you, it's a little bit off kilter, but it's doubled already twice, right? So we flipped its money from 129 to almost 500,000 now. So just think about it in terms of your net worth. If you bought this place at 129 20 years ago, your net worth has gone all the way up, has increased by damn near $400,000 for you doing nothing at all. Now, what we want to do is, why is real estate one of the five? It's because, one, you can increase your net worth. Two, you have a tangible asset that you can utilize this asset. You can force appreciation on it, and you can borrow against it. And I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but and when you move from here, unlike these people who are selling, you want to hold this damn property so that you can start to rent this mug out. And then you can start to have cash flow on top of appreciation. This is why real estate is one of the best asset classes you can have. Let's now look at number three, which is the stock market. Okay, so why do you want to hold some of your income in the stock market. I'm about to show you right now. So let's take a look at a company all of you guys are familiar with. It's called Microsoft. How many of you guys have heard of Microsoft? Drop yes in the comments. So if you're not, if you're over here on Facebook still and you want to see me share my screen to go through all this, then I suggest you click the link that's in the chat. I'm about to throw it in here again. Click that link and come on over to YouTube. And I have a live chat that's open in YouTube as well that you can utilize if you have questions about this stuff. So the stock market is one of my favorite investments, especially as an entrepreneur. Why? Because sometimes with real estate, even though they say it's passive, as an entrepreneur, you're spending what, 97, 98, 99% of your brain power focused on your business. How do I build this business? How do I scale this business? Now that I get money from this business, my job is to take this money and flip this money. I need to put it into something that's going to flip this money. The first thing I put this money into is back into my business. The second thing is I look at real estate. The third thing is the stock market. Why do I like the stock market? Is because I want to focus the majority of my time on building my business and building my family. Okay. Now I don't want to spend too much time on things that I have to manage that's going to grow my money. So even with real estate, they say it's passive and it can be somewhat passive, but you're more than likely still going to be active. Even if you are renting out properties, you might have a property management team, but you or somebody else on your team is going to have to manage even the property management team. So it's going to take some of your time. Why I like the stock market is you can set it and forget it a lot of times. So let's just take a look at something like Microsoft. Okay. So Microsoft here today, it finished trading at right around $500 a share. Some of you guys might be like, damn, bro, like that's a lot. Like just for me to get one share of this dang company, I have to invest 500 bucks. Yes, but I don't want you to be myopic. And when I say myopic, meaning I don't want you, here's a principle. You need to start learning how to think in decades instead of thinking in days. If you get afraid of this price point, it is because you're only thinking short term, what's happening now. And you're letting fear and emotions drive your decision makings instead of thinking long term. If you want this money to start working for you, you got to get out of just today and you got to start thinking in decades, 10 years from now. And why do I say that? Because let's go back to just 5 years ago in this stock. If I go back to what? September 11th, 2020, then this very same stock was trading at $204 a share. So if you wanted to own a small piece of this company and you invested $204, you would have got one share of this company, which makes you an owner, by the way. Now, this one share in just 5 years, look at it today, $498, right? So you would have three times your money in the last 5 years for making that investment 5 years ago. Three times. So if you invested $10,000 5 years ago in Microsoft, you would have over $30,000 today. Okay. Like I told you, the rule of money is to flip the game. Now, why so many people struggle is they're going to take that $10,000 and they're going to go on a vacation. They're going to take that $10,000 and they are going to raise their lifestyle with that $10,000. They're going to take that $10,000 and they're going to go buy a 5 Series or 7 Series BMW that's costing them $1,500 a month in a car payment. They're going to take that $10,000 and go put a down payment on a boat that's going to be costing them every single month. Instead of taking that $10,000 and investing it in something that's going to be making them money every single month. You dig what I'm saying? So you don't want to be myopic and you don't want to be short sighted and you don't want to be stupid with taking the money that you have and spending it on things that is not going to put more money into your pocket and flip this money for you. Okay, you want to flip this money. Why? So you're not freaking working forever or struggling or worrying about life is going to bring opportunities and is going to bring difficulties. You don't want to be the type of person that's shit out of luck when difficulties happen. And that's what so many of us do. So we got businesses, we got real estate, we got the stock market. Let's talk about the next thing, which is network. Okay. One of the best investments that you can ever make is actually your network, the people that's around you. And what I mean by that is you have to intentionally build your network. Sometimes you have to pay to play. What's up, Mickey? A lot of times you have to pay to play. Like I make so many moves, you guys. Every single year, I invest thousands of dollars just to improve my network. Last year alone, I probably invested $75,000 just to put myself in rooms with people who were higher caliber than I am. Just to put myself around these people. Why? Because all you need is one idea. And I'm be honest with you, all you need is one opportunity. If you get one idea from these people that take maybe it takes you investing $1,000 to put yourself in rooms with other people, but you get one idea and that one idea turns into $50,000, then nobody's complaining, right? Or you just need one opportunity. I strategically put myself in a room with one particular person about 4 years ago. Every year, I renew my contract with him and his company. And I did that because he's much, much smarter than me. He knows a lot more about money and investing than I do. And the network of people that he's around, they don't share these opportunities with just anybody. They only share these opportunities with people that are in these small little groups, right? So if I want to know about these opportunities, then I need to put myself in an environment where these people are. One of the best things that you can do is invest into putting yourself around higher caliber people and into better rooms. I'm telling you, you guys, I just last year alone, I because I invested into my network, then I ran into a situation. And so there's two types of money problems. One is not having enough. And for the majority of my life, I lived in that camp where I didn't have enough. The other part is when you have too much. And that's a big problem because you're constantly trying to figure out, how do I keep this, right? Not evade taxes, but how can I strategically avoid them? And because I invested into my network, I was given some information that not a lot of people know about. And I was told some strategic tips. And I did the tips. And all I did was took some money from here and put it over here. That was it. And because I did that, I lowered my taxable amount considerably. And the federal government actually cut me checks. If I had not invested into that network, I would have paid an crazy amount, a crazy amount in taxes. Okay. So you want to invest in your network. If you get scared off about those opportunities or you say it's too expensive, then unfortunately you don't get it. Right. Like you might be like one of those people that talk big talk, but is not ready to walk the big walk. Right. Like you might not be ready. And that is no like, I'm not hating on you. We just all got to be honest with ourselves. And if you're not ready to invest into being into, it's a lot of times you don't even have to invest, right? Like there's little meetups and stuff. You just have to have the desire. How can I put myself around other people? Whether it's meetups in your cities, whatever, whatever. Number five, and this might be the most important investment, is you got to learn to invest into yourself. These are five sort of investments that every entrepreneur needs. Why does an entrepreneur need to invest into themselves? Because you need The way you are going to build your business, the way you're going to build your freedom, which is a journey I've been on for quite a while now, is you need to increase a couple different things. Two of the biggest things you need to increase is your value to the marketplace and your skills. Let me just say this again, your value to the marketplace. It's always funny to me when I look at the news and I see people picketing, I see people chanting, or I see people talking about minimum wage, or I see all this stuff. And I'm like, it'd be so much easier to do than to be picketing or chanting or screaming about minimum wage and all that stuff. It'd be so much easier to do. It's just develop yourself. It might take 4 years, 8 years. It might take a couple different presidential nominees. It might take a big change of policy to get a little bump in pay. But why the hell would you spend all that time, 4, 5, 6, 8 years waiting on other people to maybe take a bump in pay where you could just improve yourself? Like, why would you do that? That always, like, I remember I used to do that too before I understood how it worked. And how it works is you don't have to work on the stuff that's out there. All you have to do is work on the stuff that's in here. Every year, one of the things that I do is I go into a year and I pick out one skill and I say, I am going to learn how to do this dang skill. Why? So I can make myself more valuable. And every single time I've made myself more valuable, then my impact it didn't just add, it multiplied. My income didn't just add. Like, I didn't go from freaking like $5,000 a month to $7,000 a month. No, 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 no. It's just like compounding interest. It's just like that. It would go from like $5,000 a month to $12,000 a month, or $12,000 a month to 18,000 a month, then 18 to 25, or 25 to 34. I remember I was stuck at 34 for a long time, and it's because I didn't learn a skill and how to improve myself. And the one skill, it was one thing that had me stuck at 34 for the longest time. You know what that is? I didn't know how to get people to work together. I didn't know how to get a whole bunch of, like, cats, like herding cats. Like, just think about having like 200 cats all in a yard, and you got to get all these freaking felines to move in one direction. That is hard as hell to do. I didn't know how to do it. And because I didn't have that skill, I was stuck at that income, which felt like forever. And then once I learned that, then we went from like 34 to 50, just like that. Right? So it is why you want to invest in yourself. You want to invest in your skill sets. You want to invest in coaching. You want to invest in your health. You want to invest in your marriage. One of the quickest ways to lower your freaking net worth is divorce. You want to invest in yourself so that you can be a valuable husband or wife. One of the quickest ways to ensure you have a negative net worth or a low net worth is to get divorced or have kids outside of wedlock. One of the quickest ways. There's a book that's out there called The Millionaire Next Door by Tom Stanley. And what he does is he goes through and he interviews thousands of millionaires, and he wants to know, what do these people have in common? What do they have in common? Like, what what commonalities do they have in their families? What commonalities do they have in culture? What commonalities do they have in education? What commonalities do they have in terms of having, being immigrants to this country? What commonalities do they have in delayed gratification? What do these people have? He wanted to know. And one of the things that he found is the vast majority of these people are not just married, but have been married for like 3, 4, 5 decades, and they were really strategic in who they married. Okay. Like marriage and family is such a massive correlator to building wealth. So you want to invest in yourself so that you're actually a good husband, a good wife, a good father, a good mother, right? A good community builder. So one of the best ROIs you'll ever get is your own growth and development. If you are going through years without seeking out some sort of coaching, mentorship, training, and not investing in it, then you're not stacking your skills. And if you're not stacking your skills, you're not stacking your value. If you're not stacking your value, then you're going to stay the same because the marketplace is going to pay you based off of your how valuable you are to the marketplace. And if you're not getting any better, basically you got a degree in teaching 25 years ago and you ain't learned no damn new skills, then yeah, you're gonna make freaking $60,000 every single year, 70,000, 80, maybe, right? Why? Because we're in 2025. Have you learned AI? Have you learned how to code? Have you learned how to film? Have you learned how to edit? Have you learned Chat GPT? Have you learned how to raise money? Have you learned how to speak? Have you learned how to communicate? Did you learn how to write a book? Have you learned how to build a sales team? Have you learned how to what have you learned to do? You ain't built no skills, you're gonna stay the same. So those are the five investments, five that you want to have as an entrepreneur. I love these lives, man. We just keep it real, right? You just get me raw. You just get me raw. Go on in the chat and shout out your questions as well. If you guys are over here on Facebook, I see a lot of my Facebook friends over here. Then click the link that I am dropping in the comments so you can come over to YouTube. And what you can do is put your questions in here because I'll spend a couple minutes just answering some questions before we hop off. But those are the five investments that you want to make as an entrepreneur. Let me see here. As an entrepreneur, those are the five investments that you want to make. Number one, invest back into your business. Number two, start stacking real estate. Number three, stock market. Number four, your network. Number five, yourself. Now, I told you I was going to give you a bonus, didn't I? So a bonus investment. This is investment right now. I'm getting returns of 30%, over 30%, and it's made me thousands of dollars. And it's one of the coolest investments that you can make that nobody really knows about. So I'm going to show you right now so that you can see. So what I'm about to show you is something called a structured note. Okay, a structured note. Let me see. If you're on Facebook, then jump on over here to um, YouTube so that you can see this. All right, we're about to bring this thing up. No, I don't want to do all that. I don't want to do all that. Is it going to let me bring this thing up? It may not allow me to bring this up. Let me see if there's another way that I can do this. You hear the kids ready for daddy to finish up so we can go play outside. That's like to share your screen, allow screen recording for Chrome and systems. Then you'll need to restart Chrome. If I do that, then I won't be able to stay on this live. I really want to show you guys this. So how can we do this? I need to somehow, let me see if I can bring this over here. What is this? Nope, that's not what we want. Well, I may not be able to show you guys, unfortunately. I really wanted to show you but it's not letting me. It is not going to let me. Well, anyways, I'll have to do it the next time. But I promised you guys that I would show you basically. So it is called a structured note. Let me just talk about it really fast. Here, I'm gonna let Tatiana talk to you guys about it actually. So, Tatiana, we're still here discussing the five investments that these entrepreneurs should make. I'm giving them a bonus investment and I'm letting them know about structured notes. Can you tell them a little bit about why I like structured notes and what type of returns I'm getting at this point? And tell them what banks I've lent money to so far. Yep, love it. Okay. So very cool. So you guys see that structured notes, you lend money to banks. So I've lent money to Goldman Sachs. I have a note with them right now. I've lent money to Barclay. I have a note out with them right now. I've lent money to um who else? Who else? Who else? I mean several others. And it's one of the coolest things that you can do. Now, most of us grow up and we're used to us going to banks to get loans. That's why I told you you want to shift your mentality and you want to think about becoming a bank, right? Who can I give loans to so that I get the interest? That's what banks want from us, right? Like they lend to us. Their job is to lend you money because they know the worst thing to have is lazy money. The crazy thing is banks need money. And so they also look for people to borrow money from. So you can either go to a bank and keep getting loans from the bank, or you can find banks to give loans to. It's a completely opposite way of thinking. And I never thought like this before when I was younger or I was on welfare. So that's a little bit of a bonus for you. Let me tell you about something that's coming up. So on Wednesday, I am hosting another one day to wealth event to where I'm going to be coming on really breaking down strategies like this, like the structured notes, like all of these that you just watch a little bit tonight. We have an incredible hour just packed for you, and I'm so excited about that. So, if you want to know more about that, then I am dropping the link right here in Facebook. And then, all of you guys, the link over here on YouTube is in the show notes. So, you can click on that, it is free. You can register, and we'll see you Wednesday night. Have a great night, everyone, everyone, everyone.